All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. 4 reviews up this week, the first of which is HunterX, codename T. HunterX, codename T, is an action-adventure with fast and stylish combat. Perfect your own fighting style using various weapons and actions and magic, and explore an even greater world. Yeah, so
So I'm parsing this as a person whose code name is T, but their actual legal name is HunterX.
no, his name is Tayo. There's where the T comes from.
Okay, so his code name is Sun, I guess.
Um,
Presumably.
I couldn't tell you. Like,
Tayo is Sun.
like anyway. So this is a. I'm not sure if it's a follow up or a spin off. To the original Hunter X, of which we reviewed about a year and a half ago. Yeah, I think it came out in mid 2022, something like that. It's like the point is, it's been a while, but not that long ago. It's like, I remember the name, I remember the game a fair amount, and as I was telling Petty in the pre-show, I can sum this game up in about 3 words, or one trope, if you will. That is mission pack sequel. I mean, I might have to break that down a bit because mission packs aren't really a thing anymore. Yeah, I guess that would be better defined as kind of a DLC pack.
Standalone DLC in the modern parlance.
Yeah, something like that. The point is, it's very much the first game. Like, if you played the first game, I'd say you'd play this one. The difference is this stars a guy instead of a girl. Doesn't seem to make a mechanical difference. Like, if there's like a stat difference, I didn't care enough to go and check. Especially since this game is doing that halfway Devil May Cry to Dark Souls kind of combat. It's come up on the program before. We've covered a few games like this, especially in the 2D style. The original Hunter X did it fairly well, and and Codename T here also does it really well. Like it leans more towards the Devil May Cry style, if I'm being honest. Like, you still get some of the methodical pacing in the weaponry, but it's a lot faster than Demon Souls or Dark Souls or any Soulsborne you want to insert here. And as I mentioned on the program before, that's more my speed. Like, I prefer Devil May Cry and Bayonetta to Soulsborne. So I rather enjoyed it, but there's you definitely feel the difference in weaponry. I tended towards the great swords. I think that was the case in the original, just because the great swords do 2 things. One, they seem to do the most damage, just like the most pure damage. Other weapons would have maybe more elemental damage when you add that in. But, elemental damage is, elemental damage. If a monster's weak to it, excellent. And if they're not, well, that complicates things. That means there's a lot of back and forth, switching weapons or what have you to make sure you have or I can use this one weapon, which is pretty universally successful against all monsters, especially when you couple it with its other great advantage. And that is, it's the one that can stagger and juggle. So it's like when it gets hit with this big piece of steel, a monster would typically get stunned, even air juggled at points. Depended on the monster, but it happened, as opposed to like the spears and the swords where it wouldn't do that. Now the downside was this weapon is slower. Also, this game has a general problem, and once again, this goes back to the original. There's no animation cancel, or no, the animation cancel is the dodge. It'll take you a bit to figure that one out. Like, you can't just, like, if you're doing a combo, you're kind of locked into the combo until you go through the combo. It's only 3 hits, but 3 hits with that aforementioned greatswords actually takes a bit of time and can make you vulnerable. That's the trade-off with this weapon. And, like I said, it's a neat system. Just something to keep in mind. Also, in the tradition of the Souls games, Soulsborne, parrying is not as pivotal as those games, but it's definitely part of the arsenal, which speaks to how much parrying has become a part of the modern parlance. Once again, I go more for what the higher octane stuff goes. I'm more of a dodger. I like dodging rather than trying to time things with the block. It's like, there's a reward for... it's this typical reward scenario with the parrying. Like, if you successfully... if you actually parry and not block, you actually lower the defenses of your enemy. It's just, you got to nail down the timing. And, like I said, I really, really couldn't be bothered to do that. But the nice thing is, if you want to use the dodge over the parry or vice versa, you can do that. That's why I said, hey, this thing is halfway between the two styles and actually gets that down for the most part. It's another, I'm trying to remember the game that we covered that was like this, but, leaned more towards the Souls side of things. I forget.
I don't remember the title, but I think I might know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it was 2D as well. It had more of a cartoon look.
Uh-huh.
That one veered way more towards the Souls methodical style, and while still trying to do the high octane stuff, and it didn't work for me. It still was good. It's just I could feel the elements clashing. Where here it felt a lot more natural. On the other hand, I suppose the biggest weakness of the game, and this, like pretty much anything I say about Codename T can be applied to the previous game, and that is the graphics. They're pretty ugly. Like, it's got that... it looks like a PSP game. Like, it's got that low-budget, cheap 3D look because, that's what they went for. I'm like, stylistically it looks okay, but there's no getting around that this game isn't exactly a looker. Especially stuff like the water effects in this game are absolutely dreadful.
It doesn't look that bad to me, but my standards aren't that high. I guess it doesn't look like up to.
It's not so much maybe the character models, but like the levels.
Yeah, I don't usually pay attention to much to that, but I guess I see what you mean.
It's like they look decidedly lo-fi, and I don't think this game is going for any sort of throwback, because how would you be able to tell? Like seriously, if you were trying to ape, say, Castlevania Rondo of Blood on the PSP, that kind of style, because it's not a style, it's just what the PSP was capable of outputting. That's why it's why I never called, say, Super Mario RPG's art style or Donkey Kong Country's art style an actual, the actual computer stuff an art style. It's just how it looked, because that was what things were capable of. A side note, I'm glad I was proven right on that, because, the Super Mario RPG remake does not look at all like that plasticky bullshit. But anyway, so in terms of construction, this game also follows the original HunterX, and I really need to remember what that other game is, because it did that too. You build your skill set by leveling up. Once again, these are it's Metroidvania meets Soulsborne. The leveling up at a bonfire, in this case statue, pure Soulsborne. You've got 4 traits. You level up each point you get is counted as a level. It's like you've got strength, hit points, mind, which is your magic, and your stamina. And you balance it the way you want to. Like, if you want to have a very strength-focused character, you can do that. Granted, later on there are some techniques that, you need to have a certain amount of points in said skill to do. Like, I'm trying to remember what I unlocked. I want to was the double jump, the double dash? It was something that said you had to have a certain amount of points in mind before you could use it. That kind of thing. Also, the each time you unlock a level, you get a Karma Stone, which serves as your Metroidvania skill tree. It's kind of weird to put it that way, but here's how this works. If you never encountered it, you do get skills in this game like you do in your typical Metroidvania. The double jump, for example, or the air dash. Like, the movement capabilities that allow you to explore new areas. The ability to get through yonder door or jump to another area. But it's tied into the skill tree, because every time you get one of those upgrades, usually by beating a boss, sometimes you can find them in a room, that's blocked off by something. That unlocks another, let's say, substrata. See, like, each one of these traits is surrounded by a whole bunch of upgrade options. And you fill in those by using the karma stones. And they, sometimes they'll be tagged in with the ability, like the double jump, or I'm trying to think if it was the double jump or the like the upward attack, or like the ability. One of them is like the ability to unlock attacking in midair, and also the ability to do that twice. I'm assuming that more would get unlocked. Some of them are just straight up upgrades. Like, this upgrade will just flat out increase your defense. And at the beginning, it only takes one karma stone, but as you get, it takes more. Like the mid-range starts getting to 2, and I presume it'll get to 3. That's when you start getting into the more, once you unlock more of the tree, more of the abilities, that's when you're going to start getting into the choices you have to make in terms of your upgrade path. Like, because like the first few upgrades, you're probably going to be able to unlock most, if not all of them. Especially since there is a ceiling you reach on this skill tree, because you can only upgrade within the path of the upgrade. That is to say, the upgrade that has been unlocked can only have the things around it upgrade. It eventually flows into another, but you also have to upgrade a certain amount of things beforehand before it goes into the next tree. If this all sounds complicated, trust me, it's not. Or rather, it's all explained out in the game itself fairly well. Like, and as far as the music goes, it's all right. Not as impressive as I thought it was going to be, but still worked out fairly well. I just don't really have a lot to say about it. Like, it's definitely one of those games that seeks to be non-intrusive with its soundtrack. Like, but yeah, overall, it's a good game. It's about the same as its predecessor. That can be a good or bad thing depending on how you like the first one. But just on a more objective level, it's a very solid, I wouldn't say a spectacular one, but it's on the numerical scale of arbitration, 7 out of 10. Like, it doesn't do anything amazing, but everything here is solid. It's a solid hand. Anyway, in terms of pricing, so the game will clock in normally at $17, $16.99. At time of recording, it's got a few days left on its promotion. At $13.59. Also, there's a HunterX bundle, clocking in at $31.98, $20.32 at its promotional price. Now, I'd say just buy the HunterX bundle right now. $20, that's just a steal for both games.
Mm-hmm.
As far as if it's worth, $17 and $31, I would still say yes. Though I would say space the play time of both games out because they are so similar mechanically. Now, as far as the story goes, I couldn't tell you a thing what was going on here. Like, it's kind of that way in the first game. Like,
And it's not one of those type of things that has like supplemental material outside of the game to look into. It's all just in game.
Possibly. I just didn't really care about the narrative at all. Like, I'm sure there are people who are invested in the HunterX lore. I'm not one of them. I'm saying it's like the narrative, such as it was, felt even more tacked on, if I'm being honest, because there was less of it, at least in the beginning. Like I haven't managed to complete the game because this thing is having a problem with some sort of graphical setting, and it keeps crashing. But it was a problem I was having with the original game. I think it's a Unity clash because this is a Unity game. I've had that with other Unity games. But I have played enough of it to get a sense of it. So anyway, So once again, it's a solid hand at the genre mishmash it's doing. It's not something that I would say tops a actual Soulsborne or Devil May Cry. But once again, getting Souls combat in 2D right it's a bit of a delicate task.
Mm-hmm.
So when it goes right, I do have to acknowledge it. Anyway, so yeah, that'll about do it for HunterX Codename T. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty will be reviewing Cards and Castles 2.